Alright guys, got a 30-minute game on the board against opponent rated 1117. I think this is an unrated game, and they've opened with d4, so I'm just going to play d5. My usual response is to play the Dutch here, but we need to mix things up. Okay, interesting. And now knight out. So the natural move, of course, is to develop and defend the pawn. Queen is also already defending the pawn, so I didn't need to defend it twice. Okay, bishop's coming out here, looking at there. So what's the plan? Is the knight going to come out here? I can play c6 here. See, when it's in the mirror version of this, like the fried liver style attack, they're looking at the f pawn rather than the c pawn. Very different proposition. But now moving the c pawn, c6 or c3 if you're white, is much more appealing than moving the f pawn, because here I'm opening up a diagonal for my queen rather than opening up a diagonal and exposing my king. What's more, moving this pawn to here blocks the diagonal to my king from the a file. Yeah. So I don't know what opening we have here. I mean, he's played almost the Jabava London here, so if he plays his pawn out now, and maybe bishop to there, we'll see. Okay, knight's come out, so he's still playing a kind of London. Now I think I need to bring my light squared bishop outside of this pawn chain, so it's got to come here or here, really. Where's the best place? I think that's okay. Okay, that's attacking my bishop, but the bishop is defended. He's not, I don't think he's attacking that. Now if I play my knight here and he takes and I recapture, that wouldn't be great for him, I don't think. Because the thing is, he's invested 2 moves in this knight already to get it to this point, which is a good square for a knight, but now it's attacked. So he's going to have to think what to do. Does he want to allow me to capture and then recapture with the d pawn? It's a possibility. If I take d takes, knight there again, then I can push my pawn, get my bishop out and castle. Have a think, Andrew from Australia. So right now, you see neither side is castled, and we've got 3 pieces each out in the board. Okay, so development is equal, but it's white's turn. However, if he captures my knight, and let's say queen recaptures, then I've got 1, 2, 3 pieces out on the board, and he's only got 2 pieces out on the board because this knight's disappeared. That guy. So he's giving away some of his first mover advantage, really, as white. So if knight takes, I think queen takes. If he takes the bishop, knight takes, that's fine. If nothing happens, I might just push e6 and get this guy out and proceed with development. Right, he's moved his forget about it pawn, hasn't he? That is weakening. So now I've got a couple of options. I can drop my bishop back to here, where we're looking at c2, or I can drop my bishop back to here, where it's not doing so much. I think this diagonal has more prospects than this one right now. No point bringing it all the way back here. I'm just going to block him up pawn. So let's put the bishop here. So he hasn't really won a tempo there. You know, he used this move. He's now pushed a pawn forward that could be an important defender of the king. So now if the king goes here, look, he's opened up potentially this diagonal here. So I need to be thinking about getting my bishop onto that diagonal, my dark square bishop. Of course, we've got a pawn here now, but I could, for example, think about e6. Then if I push c5 and he captures, bang, bishop comes straight out. French defense style. Okay, he's really coming at me now, isn't he? Interesting. Still don't want to put my bishop here. Don't like that. Plus, with these two moves, it's become very unlikely he's going to put his king on that side of the board, right? Far more likely he's going to put his king there. So, it's made my mind up. Bishop g6. Now again, if he wants to capture, I'll recapture probably the h-pawn. That's fine. This is 11-17. So my first game today, I actually lost a game in the Sicilian to a player rated 1001. That was a 10-minute game. And it was a simple blunder. Moved a piece that had an important defensive job and left a piece under-defended. Thinking also about capturing this knight, and then he's got bishop takes or pawn takes. I think definitely e6 is going to come. e6 to get my bishop out on the board. But this pawn structure is looking, it's a bit ropey now. And the other thing you have to notice is when this knight's out of the way, or in fact, even if the knight was at home, right, it can't defend these squares. It's why it's very difficult to protect the king. So, for example, if I move my pawn and my knight from there, I've got queen h4, and there's no way to block other than bishop coming back. So, can I eradicate the bishop first? See, if I can get my queen to here, the king's going to be forced to move out into the board. And that would be very bad. But first, I have to eradicate this, unless he plays his h-pawn. If we were to play h3, that would be fine. Okay, so I know what my general approach needs to be. And also anticipating if he does castle this side, I want to be thinking about pawn storm up there. So I think I'll probably send my king this way. Now what if he pushes again? So my knight can go there and then attack this undefended bishop. So that would be actually quite welcome. Attack that, move this, then my queen's looking at the pawn. Maybe. Depends where the bishop goes. It's good practice when you're around this, when you're learning, you want to get above 1,000. Okay, so he's getting ready to castle. That's what he's doing. Okay, so I'm just going to push this. I mean, this move has to be played. 100%. My bishop's going to come out. There's a couple of squares. Okay, so there goes the king. And now I'm kind of tempted to start pushing my pawns up. Let's bring the bishop out first and pin the knight at least. Now if he's true to form, he might think about kicking the bishop, which I don't think would be advisable. Okay, I'm going to drop back. If he wants to play b4 now. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, I've got 3 attackers on that. He's got 1, 2 defenders, right? But this one's pinned. So if I can capture that, pawn captures, I've got knight takes. This knight is pinned, it's not defending the pawn. So it's actually only got 1 defender. So if he takes now, I've got knight takes e4, attacking both the knight and the queen. So the queen's going to have to drop back to here, still defending the knight. But I have won a pawn. That was a poor move. But now, if I take the knight, he's got to recapture with a pawn. Okay, when you find a good move, try and find a better one. I'd like to play my knight there as well, with a fork on both rooks, but that's defended currently by the queen. So if I take that with the... no. Bishop takes... Which is the better piece? Kind of feeling like my knight is better than my bishop right now. Let's think this through. Knight takes, pawn takes. If the knight's off the board, take with the knight. He's got to take with the pawn. I just like the idea of having both bishops on the board. Okay, so the bishop's currently threatening this, defended only by the queen, right? I'd like to get rid of this knight. I might trade it off now. Pawn takes, that means my queen's under attack, but then my queen can come here. Bishop takes, I'll probably just castle. If the queen comes here, I'm looking at this vulnerable pawn with check. And then I've got two attackers on this pawn as well. That would be good once the king moves. Also, this pawn was under threat. Okay, so he's taken with a pawn. That's fine, no brainer. So queen is going to come here. Now look at his pawns. Look how scattered they are, right? You've got to take care of your pawns compared to mine. That is a solid little structure. I mean, you can argue he's got a lot more space, but he is... ooh, what on earth? Okay, I've got bishop here to shoo that rook away. That looks natural. I can't castle long. I could castle this side. And there's no f-pawn, which is good. So his pawn storm ideas will be stunted. I think that just looks very normal. There, rook has to retreat. Can't go there, 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 there. Let's just play that now. Also got options of bishop here, defended by a pawn. Hit the queen. For example, if he plays rook there, you know, that's a good move. Skewer the queen, win the rook, win the exchange. So when this rook moves, I've got queen takes a3, threat of queen a1 check. These double pawns are a real weakness when it's the king's defense we're talking about. My bishop's also quite nicely placed here, as we discussed earlier. Okay, take that with check. Simple. Now if king goes here, which I think is pretty likely, he's got two squares he can move to. I do then have castles queenside, putting my rook straight on d8 with check. Okay, he's gone for that one. He's gone for that one. Which means I can't castle long. But this pawn is pinned here. I've got bishop back here, threatening this pawn. He's going to put his rook there then? No, he can't. Or do I just castle kingside now and then start throwing pawns up? Or do I just start throwing pawns up? I mean, my king isn't actually too vulnerable at this point, so pawn to b5, Can't take with his bishop. He's still not developed that bishop. So what's the plan there? It'd be b5, b4. He can't capture because, well, we exchange queens. Or I just recapture with the queen with check. Yeah, I don't feel like I have to castle yet. I know it's principled, but I feel like, you know, striking, keeping the pressure on my opponent while the iron is hot, you know. So he'll be sweating now. This bishop's rubbish. It's really, that pawn is just hampering it completely. It's got nothing going on, that bishop. Can't go to, you know, pointless squares. And the point of that move, I have absolutely no idea. What could be the reason for that move? He's not freeing up anything for this bishop. Is he? That doesn't even make sense. No, I've got no idea where he played that. Okay. So pawn push, takes. Playing it. Improves things for this bishop, maybe, this guy. But, so if pawn takes, I think queen recaptures is the way to go with check. I've even got potentially rook b8, because it's defended by that bishop, you see. So if he wants to like block with his queen, he could find himself in sticky mess. Defended twice, defended. I mean, was that his idea? Push the pawn so the bishop defends? Huh. I push now. That pawn's actually pinned by my bishop, yeah? So he can't take. I'm threatening mate in 2. Let's do it. He's got a check actually here. Check, king moves. Wins the bishop, but then loses. I'm pretty sure that's losing at the other end. If he can't mate me. So that looks like a good attack now. It wins a piece, yeah? I didn't consider that. So I should probably castle. If I get the opportunity, I will castle my king, get it to safety. But I'm threatening mate in 2 up this side, you see. So queen to a2, king has to go there, queen takes c2's checkmate. Now this is losing. That would just be over greedy. The queen can't go there because bishop takes. Wow. No, you can't do that. Look, check. There's only one legal move. Honey trapped you, mate. You fell for the trap. It makes me sound really clever. No, I didn't even see that threat. But there's no point winning a bishop if you get checkmated. You got trapped. Now I'd like to say that I planned all of that, but I didn't. Okay, let's have a quick look at the game report and see what lessons there are in that. But a really good example of sloppy pawn play. Wow! A wild game and you came out on top. 15 accuracy. Okay. Book. Okay, e6, yeah. I've seen this. I didn't like this in a game I played yesterday. I said it wasn't a great move because it blocks in this bishop, but it's apparently the best move. Okay, decent. But, okay. So it was saying to move the bishop to that square. Rather than here. Knight in. Best. So this is interesting. It's saying I should have moved my bishop again rather than develop a piece. It's got white slightly better here. Okay. And again, it wanted me to put my bishop here, but then that would have blocked in this guy. Best move. I didn't like that move. Okay, and it doesn't like that. But that was played for a reason. Queen there, doesn't like. But, you know, clearly he's preparing to castle. It's the only place he can move his queen. And it didn't like that. I'm just trying to develop my pieces, mate. Wanted me to take the knight. Castling, mistake. Bishop here, a mistake. But again, look, I mean, it's all reasonable. Well, I never did castle my king, did I? But, you know, pin the knight. Finish development. Get ready. Yeah, I was happy to see that move. Okay, this is interesting. So it's saying I should have taken the knight. Then white has a choice of pieces to capture. That would have been very weakening anyway, right? So take the knight, pawn takes. I've got like knight here, hit the queen, maybe. It's a nice square for the knight. That'd be a lovely square for the knight. Okay, didn't like that. And now that's another mistake. Really strewn with mistakes, this one. Okay, he really wants me to take that knight. Don't know why I didn't take it. I was trying to get him to take me. Okay, again. Again, it wants me to take the knight. Okay. Best move. Best move. And now look. Look at these pawns now. Horrible pawns. Yeah, there's nothing you could do really there. Now I take the knight. Now it's happy. Right? You pleased now, machine? Took the knight. Pawn takes was good. Bishop takes was better. Yeah, I mean, I was happy to see the pawn take. Also, it isolates these guys, eh? He did have a pawn on here. So that was a bit more of a solid structure. But now, completely isolated pawns. Lots of them. 4 isolated pawns. Queen there. Okay, kind of wanted me to offer a trade. Rook there, good. Didn't like that either. And blunder. Queen takes, good. King moved to there. Right, yeah. Questionable. And it didn't like this. Well, I just didn't like my style of play, did it? At all. But look, I'm winning. And that, yeah, I mean, that just had me scratching my head. I didn't know what that move was at all. What? Oh, yeah. Queen here, because this pawn was pinned. So I had queen here, check. Then the king's only got 2 moves. Can't go here because queen takes that, is checkmate. So if queen here, king has to go there. Huh, okay. And a blunder. Should have took the pawn. I expected him to take the pawn. And that's a mistake. Again, I could have taken with the queen. You're right. You're not wrong. Decent move, it says. Forced. It says, good move, but you should have sacrificed the queen on f7. Good move, but it's mate in 1. What? I'd mate in 1. Pawn takes, yeah. Oh, that's clever. That's a lovely one. So the pawn's defended by the bishop, and the king has no other squares because the queen's got all of those. Oh, that would have been great. But it wasn't what was played. Instead, I had mate in 2. But there you go, you know. End of the day, job done, but interesting one. But yeah, he shouldn't have taken that bishop, should he? Wow. Oh, but missing mate in 1, that was a beautiful finish, if I'd have seen it. Right, have to think more about these checkmates, yeah? Calculate the checkmates, because that's just lovely. But a very easy mate in 2, all the same. Anyway, cool. Interesting game. Nice to get a win, at least. Thank you for watching. Hope it's been useful for you, and I'll see you soon.